pleased that so many of you made it out of your caves. It began to feel like a cave, didn't it, after a few days of snow. The first reading that we had today, the reading from Isaiah, which talks about his inaugural vision, the beginning of his prophetic career, and he's called by God to be a prophet, has some beautiful lessons, I think, for us as we begin the holy season of Lent this Wednesday. I don't know if any of you have ever had the opportunity to go to a performance by one of the great choirs of the world, maybe the Mormon Tabernacle Choir or the Academy of St. Martin in the Field in England. Any of the great choirs. When you attend, as I've had the privilege of doing, one of their concerts and you listen to them sing, it literally moves you to a different place. I mean, not just a different physical location, it moves you to a different psychological space. You really feel like you're, in a sense, in the presence of the angels. It is so uplifting. And I think the thing that you realize afterwards is that these were human voices gathered together singing almost as one voice. And the sublimity of that sound is just captivating. It's an experience, you might say it comes the closest, there are very few experiences that bring you as close to feeling like you are in the presence of the angels. And that cannot compare with what happens to Isaiah in today's first reading. He's literally brought into the presence of God with the angels singing the praises of God, the Holy Holy. And his first realization is that I'm not good enough to even be here. I don't belong in this place. This place is too sublime, too wonderful, you know. And there's also the same realization that we have that by comparison to these voices, whether it's the great choirs, you know, you say, I have a voice, my friends down the street have a voice, but we don't have a voice like that, you know. That somehow there is a big difference between the sounds that we make and the sounds that these great choirs, or the sound in Isaiah's case, the sound that the angels are making. And what it points out to him is just how corrupt our language is, our speech. God has given us this sublime capacity to make meaningful sounds, and yet we take that gift and it is so easily corrupted. Our language, our speech, the way we communicate with one another, or the way we fail to communicate, reminds us of the very thing that Isaiah realizes. I am a man of unclean lips, and I am from a people of unclean lips. And we have used this sublime capacity that God has given us to utter sounds of joy and love and praise, and we have corrupted it. And yet that's the human condition, and it's something that we have to realize. The tremendous potential of the human voice, the human language, and the tremendous capacity to corrupt and to destroy that's also present there. It is true. There is a professor of philosophy at the University of Pittsburgh. His name is Dr. Robert Brandom, who has spent at least part of his career studying language and the philosophy behind human language and human communication. And he said that he's come to realize that language as we use it on a daily basis, from the time that we're able to speak, is essentially a game. Language is a game. And it is a game that involves trying to psych out the person or the group that's speaking to us. and then trying to devise what we're going to say in response. And that's a game. When I'm listening to someone speak to me, without even realizing it, in my mind what's going on is I'm saying to myself, are they lying to me or are they telling the truth? Are they telling the truth in such a way that they want me to believe something different? Are they choosing words for a specific purpose in order to try to get me to do something that I wouldn't ordinarily want to do? All of these little games, I try to figure out what it is that the person is thinking and how they're acting behind the words that they've chosen, see, before they even utter a word. And while I'm doing that, you know what's going on in my mind? I'm choosing the words that I'm going to say in reply. And I'm deciding, am I going to tell the truth? Am I going to make up a fib? Am I going to say something that is going to make the truth sound very nice? Am I going to try to deceive? All of these things going on. From the time we're little children and we learn how to speak, realize it or not, we are learning also how to lie. We're learning when the truth, gradually, we're learning when you say it this way so that it's not a problem, or how you manipulate somebody with the words that you use. All of these things are being taught to us through our learning of language. We're learning how to use words. We're using how to use words in order to say one thing or another thing or something else. And it's that kind of a game that goes on behind human speech. And so often that game is corrupt, isn't it? It's the very thing, it's the unclean lips that the prophet is talking about. We say what we don't mean. We are often insincere. We try to manipulate. We try to escape punishment for what we've done through clever language. And all the many ways in which we use words and we use our dialogues in a way that is certainly not what God meant for us to do with this sublime gift of human language that he has given us. And we realize that. We realize all you have to do is pick up the newspaper and open it up, or go to one of the news sites on the web, and you see what language does, the cruelty and the evil that language is capable of doing, the lies that are told all the time. You know, you listen to a politician, and immediately in your mind you're saying, what is he really trying to say? What is she really trying to convince me to do? What, you know, you expect them not to be telling you the whole truth. You see people, just recently reading an article about people leaving these nasty comments to waiters and waitresses on their bill, comments upon their physical condition, or comments upon them personally, racial comments. The way in which people use this tremendous and sublime gift of speech, and not just people out there, the way in which I use it, in order to promote things that perhaps I don't believe, or to convince things of people that are really only to benefit me, or to lie in order to escape a judgment or justice or whatever it may be. We think of the cruelty that we see each and every day, the words that bully people, even little children, words that are conveyed in a schoolyard or on a Facebook page, that literally destroy lives. I mean, that literally cause people to be so distressed and so upset that they injure themselves, and sometimes fatally will injure themselves because of it. This sublime gift, which the angels so beautifully represent, a gift given to us to honor and to glorify God, how corrupt it is, and yet how devastatingly powerful in its power to corrupt, how evil it can be, and how much evil it is capable of doing. And so as we begin the holy season of Lent, it's not inappropriate for us to examine our own language, and even the thoughts that go on in our minds behind the words that we say, and the kind of language that we allow ourselves to listen to, the dialogues and the words that we entertain in our lives. And maybe to repeat that prayer frequently as we are examining our words and our language, to repeat the words of the prophet Isaiah, Lord, help me, because I am a person of unclean lips, and I come from a people of unclean lips. What happened to the prophet Isaiah was that an angel came down with a coal, a hot fiery coal, and burned his lips to show the tremendous power, the purging power of God. That is only with God's help and with God's divine grace that our language will become something that honors God, that will even vaguely resemble the words of praise of the angels. It is only with God's help and our own self-determination that we can begin to care, to perform something like a therapy. The word therapy means to care, a caring for how we use the gift of language and how we express what God would have us express, the words that are in our heart, the words that are formed in the heart of Jesus himself. Let us pray during this holy season of Lent that we may examine how we use this tremendous gift that God has given us, the gift